He took down the guard with a sudden attack, then turned towards the security device, decisively severing the guard's hand for verification. The verification passed, but it was a dual-layer security system requiring retinal authentication, so he rushed back towards the fallen guard. The new Reaper virus ravaged the land mercilessly, spreading as swiftly as the common cold, with no cure and no vaccine. In a short time, tens of thousands lost their lives, and masses of people flooded into cities seeking refuge. The authorities imposed various bans attempting to prevent the virus's spread. Soldiers, fully armed, strictly interrogated and examined everyone passing through. After days of high tension, the young soldier fired hastily upon spotting an infected person. Many innocent civilians were tragically hit. Flesh and blood flew, blood splattering everywhere. People snapping out of shock became furious, attacking the soldier who fell to the ground. Dissatisfaction erupted instantly. Survival instinct took over, and the crowd, losing control, began storming the barricades. Seeing this, the soldiers retreated. Even as the barricades tore their hands bloody, survival left them no choice. Intense machine gun fire caused multiple casualties. A young girl's right eye was unfortunately injured. Vehicles loaded with soldiers sped away rapidly, countless civilians chasing close behind. When the vehicles reached the quarantine zone, the soldiers inside swiftly moved into defensive positions, the massive steel doors urgently slamming shut. Entering this steel wall meant hope for life, but the unfortunate civilians arrived a moment too late. The merciless steel gate isolated them completely, the authorities cruelly abandoning their own people. To prevent the steel doors from being forced open, those inside even welded them firmly shut. A woman not far away, busy bandaging her daughter's wound, became separated from the crowd. Seeing a helicopter preparing to evacuate in her desperation, she rushed over pleading for help. But the helicopter was already full. The woman begged them to save the child. Looking at the helpless mother and child, a kind soldier gave up his seat. The little girl was saved. Reluctantly, the woman handed over a note bearing her home address and the girl's surname. Beyond building tall, sturdy walls, the authorities strictly blockaded sea and air. While isolating the virus outside, they also isolated themselves. As time passed, the crowds gathered outside the walls gradually vanished. Rumors of cannibalism spread. Conditions inside the walls were also grim. The closed environment led to mass unemployment, poverty, and homelessness, causing social unrest and immense suffering. 28 years have now passed. That girl named Eden has long grown up, becoming a somewhat well-known figure within the military. Her lost right eye, enhanced by technology, gave her an edge during missions. This time the target was cross-border human traffickers. Eden's team's arrival triggered a double cross at the deal site. Richter, the victor, seized the gold. His henchman carrying the case was shot dead while fleeing, prompting Richter to emerge from the shadows and take a police officer hostage. Eden, arriving immediately, raised her weapon, aiming at Richter. A standoff ensued.
Sinclair! She's fucking nuts! Tell her to back off! I'm ordering you not to shoot, Sinclair! Richter, you've got one way out of this. Put the gun down or she will kill you! You haven't got a chance! I'll kill him, I swear! Sinclair, do not shoot!
Eden never compromises easily to complete a mission, a fact her superior Bill knows well. She still keeps the note her mother left, though she never had a chance to venture beyond the high walls. Yet fate seemed to intervene. Police inadvertently discovered numerous infected individuals during an operation. After all these years, the dreaded Reaper virus had reappeared. Should it spread, the authorities' rule would crumble instantly. Effective vaccines remained elusive all these years, though satellite systems made a new discovery in recent months. Within the abandoned cities outside the high walls, traces of human activity were intermittently detected, reminding the ruling class of one man, Dr. Cain. His laboratory was also quarantined outside back then. Had he succeeded in developing a vaccine? They decided to dispatch a team to investigate. Finding Cain could mean finding the vaccine. Eden was recommended by Bill to lead this small team.
Listen up! I want everyone suited, booted, and strapped back here in 10!
Now, the high wall was guarded by only a few soldiers, mostly automated weaponry. Two armored vehicles carried them out overnight, reaching the target city smoothly. Nearly 3 decades of neglect left the place looking desolate. Numbers on every door represented the people inside needing rescue back then. But rescue was a lie. Ultimately, they were all left to their own fate. Their search began at the laboratory, located within a large hospital, equally dilapidated, with bleached bones visible everywhere. The fully armed team members searched cautiously. The 2 armored vehicles stood ready.
Reed, Fresno, we're on the 5th floor, we're going in.
Copy that. Everything quiet here.
As they spoke, the squad arrived at a large isolation ward. Bloodstains on the beds and walls spoke to the horrors of that time. Cain was naturally not here. They were only holding out hope of finding clues at least. Just then, Chandler, waiting in the armored vehicle outside, spotted a woman on the monitors. Reporting it, he hurried out to investigate. The woman fainted upon seeing him. Chandler brought her into the armored vehicle, placing her inside the isolation unit. Meanwhile, Eden and her team continued their search. The sudden ambush caught them off guard, but they reacted quickly, taking countermeasures. Yet the raiders seemed to swarm from all directions, emerging endlessly from the ground. Retreating the way they came was impossible. They had to find another way out. The armored vehicles, receiving the retreat order, started immediately, rushing to reach the extraction point. But it's not peaceful outside either. Thugs are also everywhere. They keep throwing Molotov cocktails at the armored vehicles, trying to force them to stop. Fortunately, the armored vehicles are sturdy enough, leaving the thugs helpless for the moment. Just then, the woman who had fainted suddenly woke up. She secretly produced a blade and sliced open the isolation chamber, then got up and moved towards the driver's seat. The squad's appearance had actually drawn the raiders' attention long ago. For this reason, they set a trap, launching the attack only when the time was right. Poor Chandler had his throat slit by the woman, completely unprepared. Out of control, the armored vehicle crashed wildly until it finally stopped. The driver of Armored Vehicle 2, Reed, urgently reported the situation to the squad. Eden decisively ordered the squad to enter via the elevator, while the armored vehicles moved to the basement for extraction. But clearly there was no power here at all. However, the situation was urgent. She had no choice but to take the risk. The new foam bombs effectively absorbed the impact, and they successfully reached the basement. Armored Vehicle 2 also arrived at the extraction point. Meanwhile, that mob of thugs surged towards this location. Fortunately, Eden and her team made it into the armored vehicle safely. For now, the squad could only retreat, but the assault continued. Reed was unfortunately shot in the throat by a crossbow bolt. By the time others realized something was wrong, the armored vehicle immediately careened out of control and flipped over. The raiders kept advancing, and despite the team's advanced weapons, they were overwhelmed. As the raiders closed in, they swarmed in. The team members were quickly overpowered and subdued. Only Norton and Sterling managed to escape in the chaos. Eden woke up hanging in midair. She was beaten and interrogated repeatedly by Saul. Learning Eden came from inside the wall, he appeared both surprised and excited.
Well, you see, if you did come over that wall, then you must have planned on getting back. We've tried before and failed. I've seen too many of my friends rush those gates, but before they could even get close, they were turned to fire and fell as ash.
The tracking device Eden carried was destroyed. After ordering his men to guard Eden well, Saul left directly. Numerous followers were waiting for him. Freshly caught goods must be enjoyed quickly for the best flavor. After the virus's baptism, survivors had to follow the law of the jungle to live. Cannibalism was no longer uncommon. Poor Talbot was soon burned. Viper raised her knife and began the feast of revelry. In the frenzy of grabbing flesh, they even saved 2 pieces for Eden. But just minutes before, she had already managed to unlock her handcuffs. She dealt with the guard watching her and retrieved her communication device. As she was leaving, a woman imprisoned next door pleaded for help. Eden initially didn't want the trouble, but the woman claimed to know Cain's hiding place and that he was her father. Only then did Eden stop and warn the woman not to dare lie to her. Viper was Soul's lieutenant. Her skills were naturally exceptional. However, Eden was no ordinary opponent either. They fought back and forth, locked in a stalemate. But masters must fight cautiously, or risk losing their heads at any moment. The woman's name was Callie. Eden followed her, running desperately, and notified Norton and Sterling to meet at the station. Soul rushed frantically to the scene. Seeing Viper decapitated filled him with rage. He personally led his men in pursuit. Spotting Norton and Sterling running along the way, he chased them relentlessly. By now, Eden's group had reached the station. It turned out someone was waiting for Callie. Saul's men chased them there. Seeing Saul's men, the man jumped aboard to start the train, urging Callie and the others to leave quickly. Norton and Sterling were running desperately. With Eden's assistance, they reached the train safely. She herself jumped aboard at the last moment. Now, following Callie was their only chance to complete the mission. The train stopped after traveling for a while. Eden and the others followed them over mountains and through valleys into the mountains. Passing through a forgotten military base, they entered jungle territory. Heavy hoofbeats sounded during their trek. Soon, a figure clad in heavy armor appeared, his men surrounding them from all sides. Eden voluntarily lowered her weapon. She knew surrender was the fastest way to meet Cain. To their disbelief, Cain had built his own castle, even had a dedicated armed force. He proclaimed to the people that the virus had conquered the world, and this was the only safe place. He manipulated the unsuspecting populace. After being mercilessly abandoned by their own people years ago, it was already a miracle these survivors had adapted to the harsh laws of nature, let alone asking them now to help those outside the wall. On the other hand, Cain naturally couldn't allow Eden and her team to stay, otherwise his lies would be hard to maintain. How then could he maintain control? Callie, who had exposed his whereabouts, was branded. Eden was to be publicly slaughtered in the arena. She faced Telamon, a warrior known as the Executioner. Aware of her situation, she fought with extreme caution. Though Telamon was physically powerful and clad in heavy armor, this was also clearly his weakness. His multiple attacks were nimbly dodged by Eden. Still, this couldn't go on forever. Eden suddenly darted toward a soldier on the railing, pulled him down, and successfully seized his weapon. Meanwhile, Norton and the others imprisoned in the cell resolutely took action, taking an official hostage before escaping the cell. Then, they found weapons, and Eden also gained the upper hand after defeating Telamon. Seeing his strongest warrior defeated, Cain angrily shouted orders to execute Eden and her group immediately, but he was interrupted by an explosion. Norton fought his way through. When the archer raised his bow to aim, he arrived just in time to shoot and save Eden. Seizing the moment before the enemy could organize resistance, they grabbed horses and fled the castle, reaching the abandoned mountain base cave. The pursuing soldiers arriving were blocked by the iron gate, unable to enter for the time being. They quickly found and activated the backup power supply, but escaping smoothly was now the key. After searching, a brand new car came into view. Young Callie had never even seen such a thing. Eden promptly got behind the wheel to leave. Norton also repaired and opened the long-sealed gate. Simultaneously, the pursuers broke through the iron gate. Norton was hit by an arrow while running and ultimately couldn't escape, staying there forever. By now, chaos had erupted inside the wall. Vast numbers were infected, gathering to storm the city center, with most guards busy dealing with the outside. Infected individuals broke into the Prime Minister's residence amidst the chaos. He breached the security system and headed straight for the command center. Seeing the assault, soldiers quickly locked the door. The intruder was shot dead on the spot, but the ruler Hatcher got blood splattered all over his face. Hatcher's political advisor Canaris immediately ordered Hatcher to be isolated and imprisoned. He then naturally took over control. While speeding down the road, Eden called Bill, stating she had found a way to stop the virus and asking them to trace her signal and send backup. Canaris stated he would go personally. Now, holding the cure meant solidifying his position. He clearly understood this logic. Eden sped along the road only to suddenly see a police car appear in her sight. It turned out Soul's men had spotted them. During the high-speed chase, the following car kept accelerating to ram them. This madness could cause a fatal crash at any moment. She could only try to steady the wheel, defusing the crisis repeatedly. However, the raiders had many accomplices. Motorcycle riders sped towards them from the front, pulling out weapons to strike as they neared. Eden swerved frantically, the vehicle spinning under extreme conditions before finally stopping. But this was only the beginning. Soul and his men were already nearby and quickly charged forward, shouting. Surprisingly, Eden slammed the car into reverse at full speed towards them. Now both sides were moving very fast. A collision would surely be fatal. It was a showdown where only the brave would survive. Seeing Eden show no sign of slowing down, Soul's men instead backed off, slowing down to avoid her. Eden took the opportunity to rush through the middle road, then quickly made a sharp turn and sped off. Soul, burning for revenge, naturally wouldn't let it go. His men followed closely in pursuit. A motorcyclist accelerated first to catch up, raising a crossbow to shoot. Eden quickly slowed down to evade. The arrow struck Viper's corpse perfectly, This made the already grieving Saul even more furious. Seizing the moment Eden slowed down, he desperately climbed onto their vehicle. The cramped cabin descended into chaos. Stopping now would let the raiders tear them apart. So even though Saul was desperately choking Eden's neck, she dared not ease off the gas. Sterling beside her quickly reached over to steady the wheel. Raiders in other vehicles also tried to get close, and no matter how hard those inside struggled, they couldn't shake Saul. His reckless fighting style was terrifying. During the chase and fight, the raiders suffered heavy losses. Several were smashed to pieces, and vehicles were mostly destroyed. Saul was finally forced out of the cabin by their combined efforts. Unexpectedly, he still clung desperately to the vehicle, miraculously climbing onto the roof and continuing his assault. Reinforcements of the raiders appeared ahead at this moment. They directly parked the bus sideways across the road, then revealed weapons and opened fire. Seeing this, Saul also sensed grave danger. Eden, expressionless, slammed the gas pedal and drove straight at it. Only then did they truly shake off the raiders. Driving a distance further, they finally saw the extraction helicopter. As Eden approached, she secretly activated the recording device. Canaris, arriving only with soldiers, clearly cared little about casualties. He bluntly stated the more the virus spread, the more he would gain. Callie, as a survivor, had immunity to the virus. This would play a key role in developing the vaccine. Although Sterling was very confused, Eden insisted he leave with Callie. Taking the cure back was their mission. In truth, this was also Eden's temporary plan. She had recorded everything. Bill later found her. Looking at the photo with her mother, tears welled up. Then Eden took out the recording device and handed it to Bill. Once that footage was made public, Canaris' position would be hard to maintain. And with Callie's help, a vaccine to defeat the virus would soon be successfully developed. But Eden never returned. Instead, she went alone to confront the raider gang. Perhaps the land outside the wall was always meant to be her true home.